very honest first impression when we got to Guangzhou. I was like, what the hell is this place? Like, so hello from one of the largest cities in all of China. We are right now in Guangzhou, a very different place. Just arrived here yesterday at night and came from the city of Shenzhen. And just from the first impression, I've already got to tell you, it's very different here. It's a fairly old city. It has been large for a long time. It's actually one of, let's say, in terms of urban population, it's pretty much the largest city, one of the largest in the world. It depends always how you count it. For example, Shanghai theoretically is larger. Chongqing is kind of like the largest, but it's not real. It's not people actually living in the city. This is a gigantic city. Together with Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, this is one of the main hubs in, let's say, one of, if not the largest economies in the world. And I'm excited to check it out. On the one side, this neighborhood looks a bit older than most of what I've seen, but just from the skyline, I haven't seen anything yet. They have some huge towers, but also they have a lot of history. As you know, China is in many ways a ancient country, and I think here in Guangzhou we're gonna see a bit more of that, because the last stop was Shenzhen, and there it's like city of the future. You can check out the previous videos, but here kind of like life is going on. You got food absolutely everywhere. I would say, let's dive in. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's very different from Shenzhen. I've been only in Shenzhen. Right now, maybe we are in a local area, maybe all the city is like this, but it's much more alive, I would say, in some ways. Like busy streets, people are busy, like doing something.
Everybody's on the road.
On the road, yeah. Everybody like is working or hurrying up. But yeah, the vibe is super cool. Like the mix of Thailand and something very different.
Very honest first impression when we got to Guangzhou, I was like, what the hell is this place? Like, we got in the evening here, everything was closed. And that is the thing you gotta say. When it's like 1 a.m., let's say midnight, after midnight on a Tuesday, people are like, well, what should we do? I mean, I guess we should hot pot some mushrooms, maybe boil some eggs. That's the only thing you see in the middle of the night. But still, feels like super safe to walk around. So basically, you can imagine all these shops were completely closed when we arrived here, and I was already thinking, probably the moment, let's say, life comes back, which probably here is around 6 a.m. would be my guess, all the shops open up. And for now, because we are somewhat in a historical center, I think 20-25 minute walk, music just blasting, people just buying stuff. We'll take you with me today on really, for the first time, walking through this city. And what I do love about China is that even though there's a lot of similarities in the new infrastructure, because it's all kind of like centrally planned and built, every city, especially the old ones, they're very different. And even though maybe some sites within Shanghai, but not like that. Here it looks like everybody's running some kind of business, little boxes. Once again, we are in Guangdong, we are close to Shenzhen. From what I understand, is Shenzhen came to be because Guangzhou was kind of like the industrial center, and then they expanded it. So many things are being built, produced here, shipped all over the world. So when you're sitting at home, scrolling on Temu or like AliExpress, well, that's probably where they're getting your order ready, somewhere around here. I mean, and if it's not coming quite yet, maybe the guy's taking a nap. That is why the delivery might be delayed. I mean, you know. Now real quick, before we pop back to today's adventure, let me tell you about my little travel secret. A lot of people ask me, where do you get your suitcases from? And this is where Level 8, today's video sponsor, comes in. So with this particular case, I've been to already over 10 countries. They're super durable. Like, I'm not lying to you. The smoothest wheels I've ever had. You're in the airport, you can even almost let it roll by itself, and the quality lasts. I had 2-3 different models myself. For example, right now is the Hedgend model. Very durable, super tight build. On the other hand, my all-time favorite, the aluminium carry-on, just looks absolutely beautiful, sleek. I mean, like you could say like look sexy almost, like people all the time, especially the silver one or the platinum aluminum. If you compare it to other luxury suitcase brands, a good bit more affordable, and you can trust that these suitcases are gonna last because they have a lifetime limited warranty on them. So if something happens, you can reach out with them and they're gonna help you out. So wherever you are, actually, they do worldwide delivery. Often once in Thailand, got one delivered, no problem. But especially in EU, US, UK, you can get even free shipping. And to sweeten up the deal for you a little bit, if you need a suitcase for your next trip or maybe as a gift. As of right now, with my code Danny15, you can get 15% off any of the pieces you like. So with that, check out the first link in the description and let's roll back to today's adventure. Gotta say, it's quite fascinating. We are reasonably central, and the thing is, there's like so much just old life happening. There's like a mix. At the same time, there's shops clearly preparing some deliveries of some very fancy boxes, and you also see that people kind of take care of where they're living, even though it's such an old street. Like, look at these houses, I don't know, 100 years old would be my guess, roundabout. And for here, I looked on the map and they told me we can pass through to get kind of like to these temples. Somebody's drying their pants. One of the 18+ million inhabitants of Guangzhou. Amsterdam. So it looks like the concept of a zebra is rather a suggestion, but nothing new to me. Wow, that sounds very Soviet.
Yeah.
So, wandered into... Yeah? Hilarious. Wandered into another side street. Looks like, I don't know if it's this neighborhood in particular, but it's just like one big market or like little shops that are delivering things. Here, mostly kind of like music instruments, but also some like stones. Pretty cool. I mean, I'm not in the market for a sound system from 1980, but it certainly is. Oh, I am in the market for some Kailu Kaiwan, the local Galvins. That is actually interesting. Obviously, for what is it? Fake, basically, clothing was a huge thing, but now locally on the markets, I see kind of like the name slightly changed. I wonder if, like, legally speaking now, well, they do got still the burnt Nikes here. I wonder if it's like legally not as easy to do that anymore everywhere. Yep. Wow. Watches. Oh, okay. All right. That is very interesting. Like I mentioned before, might be a bit tricky to sell these things these days because the lady is all covered up and filming is no bueno. Interesting. This one? One. Sure. Let's see, which noodles do we want? I would say, yeah, let's do these. Super cool. Didn't expect to run into such a huge market because it's all around here. Obviously, food is also all around. This is gonna be like a, let's say, we can call it brunch. Next to it, this man. Very nice, very nice. No? Okay. So, he's cooking the soup up. Almost like in the 5-star hotel.
Yeah. By the
Soup
way,
station, yeah. But honestly, in some ways it might be better because they're stewing it here forever, you know?
Yeah.
So it cost you like $2.50 for some soup? Gonna try one if it's... Oh man, whatever the man's having, I want. So guys, look at that. Wow, love it. Looks perfect. So we're getting the organ soup going. Lisa's not the biggest fan of the organ so far. What do you say?
Yeah. It's interesting to try, but I wouldn't eat it like every day. It's like, yeah, it's just a boiled lens. It's my guess that it's a lens, because it's like.
What is it?
Lens.
What is the lens?
Легкая.
Intestines.
Yes. That's my guess because it's like tastes like hard but lighter. So.
The organ is not the best flavor, but the broth, super good.
The broth is good.
A little bit of tofu. I actually thought there would be real beef, like meat, but no, it's mostly organs. But the broth, woo, and it costs like a bit over $2. cheaper here than in Shenzhen.
What that?
Potato.
Potato? Really?
We have made it to the temple of the 6 banyan trees. A place here in China, you know, that is pretty much over 1,500 years old. I gotta tell you, extremely well preserved. There is like a little history thing about it, how it has been rebuilt, renamed. And Guangzhou, actually, during the time of the Silk Road, when goods were traveling from China, pretty much I traveled almost all across the Silk Road this year. And it's quite fascinating. It's such an old history and they maintain it so well. Nothing over the top, just keeping it absolutely beautiful. So this thing is like 56 meters, I was just reading. And actually what is also really interesting is that people are actually coming out here to pray. Everybody that is coming in is kind of giving respect to it, some prayers. And yeah, super beautiful. The details, it looks like they keep it in top shape for over 1,500 years. I know, just beautiful. Look at that, we got the golden Buddhas inside there. I don't know, can I go in? I can go in. People are praying, so let's be quiet. Fashionable grandpa.
Yes.
Old park, trees probably hundreds of years old. And pretty nice, some type of, I would call it the temple, I guess traditional Chinese architecture, big building, probably government building, and yeah, lots of people hanging out there, old timers. Yeah, it feels like really the average age in Guangzhou is not the youngest. Or everybody, well, working age is working. The old people are enjoying their lives. So yeah, super nice park. We're slowly making our way into modernity, it seems like. Guys, another thing I haven't, I think, talked about yet in this China series is they have some of the nicest 7-Elevens. Number one, definitely, is Thailand. No doubt about it. The products, the prices, the value. But China, you know, it's everything locally produced. Even a couple international brands that they have, like the Coke and everything, looks a little bit different around here. Like, check it out. It's my favorite energy drink in China. 200 mg of caffeine gets you going. Pepsi looks a bit like that. Coca-Cola, original. They just put in the local name. Got some Monster, but other than that, it's all local. I think I'm gonna grab this. It's Coca-Cola Plus with some fiber. I really don't need it, but it looks funky. And everything else is really like local products, so I like that a lot about it. It's one of the main go-to snacks. It's like eggs, and they have all kinds of dried meats always. I don't even know where they are. They always have a dried chicken in all kinds of shapes and sizes. And so pretty much we kept walking for a good, I don't know, 40 minutes from where we were staying, like the more historical, older district. And here it starts to look really a lot more like city center still. We got the random guy with the bags full of something passing by, but overall big stores, big buildings starting to pop up. So the goal would be to get to like a really modern site. But I checked, walking is not really an option. Guangzhou is a gigantic city. It would be like 2 hours. And even though this is not the center that I was looking for, some type of super busy shopping promenade, really cool kind of, I don't know, wall graphics show. You can imagine in the evening this probably lights up like crazy, and here you start to see fairly old Chinese architecture, but super cool, kind of buildings left and right, policemen doing the traffic, that's what I mean. Yeah. So decided to just walk down this promenade because it doesn't look like we're just in some little market area. Probably one of the busiest shopping places, and it's quite funky. Lisa keeps talking about it, that like I actually checked on the back of the toys where they're made. They're made in the town next door in Dongguan. And yeah, everybody's a very sustainable, environmental person because they consume local products. That's actually quite funny to think that so much in the world, especially now, like, you know, production is going to also some other cities because wages are going up here. but over the last 10, 20 years, actually, this is what I just researched. I've heard it's kind of like the most populous city, but it's actually like a city area. So between all of the cities of Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Macau, it's kind of like in terms of we're not gonna make it, already read. In one area of multiple cities that are right next to each other. It's the biggest urban region in the world. Over 70 million people live here, basically within a couple of hour drive radius. Yeah, and it's quite wild, guys, overall. So the malls by itself, there's so many of them, nothing too crazy. And like I said before, Guangzhou is a city that has been around for quite a while, so you see it, they really blended the old infrastructure with the new. But the thing that makes it really interesting is just how large these shopping districts are. Like this seems even bigger than the ones I've seen in Shanghai. It's just never ending. Been walking for like half an hour pretty much. And it's like a mix of big malls, modern malls, all the brands, but also very like local little fun stuff, little shops. To show you, I went to electronic, at least I went to explore here. Anything interesting?
Yeah, very cool. As well, I'll show you.
Flowers?
No.
Nice.
Cactus.
Smells good though.
Look at the cactus.
Cacti. Oh wow. And yeah, the Chinese, they really love these like all cute things. I haven't even seen that. So basically you have these very old buildings. And it looks like they're mostly abandoned, but they didn't tear them down. They kind of made artwork out of it, which is pretty cool. And on the side, we're selling somewhat traditional inspired little trinkets, but it's not necessarily like, it's not even at all, it's not like souvenir stuff. In Shanghai there's much more like random run-of-the-mill souvenir nonsense, but here is just fun stuff really, which if I would have checked luggage, I'll be heading home, there'll be a lot of stuff to get because it's all very unique, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the usual like tourist whatever magnet
like
watch.
The actual people are interested in it, and it's super. Like every shop has something different.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You could spend here all day, huh?
I would.
I'm kind of like, let's get to the water. You're like, I want the shops.
Yeah, just leave me here, and I'll be back in 2 days.
6-day visa to hang out at the shops. And so many also unique chains, like I'm seeing it everywhere. Just, yeah, you have like one maybe Starbucks for everywhere, but other than that, like 20 other chains of teas. Actually, it's quite interesting. Coffee doesn't seem to be as big as tea. There's more tea chains. But yeah, you wanted to check out Luckin Coffee?
Yes.
There should be one by the water. And this is already the, I think, 4th large street we're passing through here. And behind it seems like another huge mall. And it just keeps on going. So we finally made it to the water. Right away, quite interesting. Here's a ferry station. Reminds you a bit of Bangkok. I don't know if they have like more regular public transport also you could be taking. But yeah, you're seeing, wow, scooters drive everywhere here in China. So basically you see the river is not too wide, and lots of more development on the other side of the water. There's a lot of Bangkok, huh? You know. Whew, very different neighborhood. Oh wow, some very tall buildings. So we made it to some kind of, wow, sometimes you cannot find the street crossing on the internet. Basically, I was reading that this is kind of like the area with all the skyscrapers, looks like in some way business district. In other ways, what I think is really interesting, once again, Guangzhou is kind of like a fusion of really new but also a bit old style, because still even here some industry buzz and some grandpas are doing some things, but you see really here they built out a lot. Every single building is just super tall, heading all the way back into actually the other side of the river, and there we see the Canton Tower, or at least we're walking up. We should see it any second. So super cool. Still very green. In the back you're kind of seeing the old Guangzhou, somewhat almost reminds me of like some post-Soviet Union countries where you see like an old building from the old times, and then you turn around and you see the new stuff, so almost like a bit of a Manhattan vibe here. And honestly, I gotta tell you, I don't think in China I've seen so far before that there's like really all surrounded. It's like Central Park vibe, that's how it feels. Much smaller, one big, let's say, greenery, and then around it just tall buildings everywhere. So aesthetically very, very cool. Don't know yet quite exactly what there's to do in the area. Unfortunately not flying my drone as of right now. Yeah, look at that, so nice. And the aforementioned Grandpa's at work. Damn, he looks like he needs some help. Central Park vibes continue. Sun is slowly setting. Yeah, super, super cool Central Park. I gotta tell you, just by walking into the mall, you do see, I'm sure they have also some really nice malls and cafes, but that place was like a bit, it's under refurbishment right now, let's say it like that. You see this place has been around for at least like 10 plus years overall. But yeah, what you're seeing, this little thing back there, is really the symbol of the city. But honestly, all of these buildings, and for real, every 1 minute there is a plane passing by. I was reading that Guangzhou for I think the year of 2020 or something like that was the busiest airport in the whole world. And wow, this building has turbines in it. Not sure for what. Never seen that in my life before. But yeah, basically for hanging out, coming out on a nice weather's day. Super, super nice park. So we walked back to basically the main square. Now it's all the way dark. Really cool architecture absolutely everywhere. Like I said, the first impression of the square actually wasn't the best. Some like older malls, but now the more I walk around it, I'm like, well, it's kind of like how you know the rest of China. In the beginning, maybe there was the first developments. This is the public library. Looks, wow, looks actually really cool. So in terms of malls, like you see, absolute never-ending story. Here is like a Rosewood Hotel. Under it is the K11 Mall. As you see, as fancy as it gets, really. You feel like right at the end is the Canton Tower, but actually it's on the other side of the water. They have kind of like these blue installations on the ground. So yeah, absolutely surreal vibes. Infrastructure like no other.
Cyber City.
Yeah. So that's gonna be the first night. Quite exhausted. That is really the big city vibe. That when you get excited, you just keep walking until you drop, which the moment is slowly coming. So I would say we'll see each other tomorrow to wrap up a little bit the first impressions and to see what else we can do in this gigantic city. So guys, another morning in Guangzhou. So what I realized is when I was booking our accommodation, I had no idea where to stay really. I saw the modern district, but I wanted a bit of a change. And what I just realized is after yesterday and today, we are really in the historical district. So on the one side, life looks really old here, and I was just saying, what I love about traveling China for the most part is this: nothing is made for you as a visitor. People are living their life. So that is why traveling China also sometimes can be a bit complicated, like in terms of getting around. Once you figure it out, it's actually quite easy. But yeah, just walking through a little side alley, and I think I want to take you to one more historical, iconic spot in Guangzhou that you look like in a top 10 list. It's very high up, and I'm like, oh, wow, we live right here, pretty much. Street food heaven, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And one white man, funky one, with his wife.
Yeah.
soaking up the culture. Wow, look at these giant dragon fruits. Coconuts. Now that's what I call... Have you ever seen a big one like that? Big one, huh? And so I would say I got super lucky overall with the weather. And look at that. This is the Sacred Heart Cathedral. Looks absolutely beautiful in many ways. Super well maintained. And for like here, it's a really special thing. They obviously don't have many like old Christian churches. A good amount of them, but by many I mean if you're like walking around Germany, where I lived a good part of my life, they're in every corner, but most of them are not as well maintained, and just like you see how much love there is for this place. And it looks like also for a lot of people that is like, let's say an Instagram spot, to say the least. And like I said, super local in neighborhood, and we're staying like a couple minutes off from here if you want to see the more historical, because in Shenzhen it was mostly everything super modern, super sick, nice places, and that's also what I thought the city is more about. But Guangzhou has just so much more history, and it's truly like a huge contrast. Like it's so different. Some parts are kind of broken down, super old life. People are on their little like transport vehicles that probably they're doing for generations. On the other side, even in the same area, super modern buildings, technology everywhere, and generally, obviously, even in the local areas, you pay everything digitally, so all of that is also quite interesting. The most local market, but still. And at the same time, they have a super developed city center, and super is the wrong word. It's like a different level of development overall. Like here, I do have to very honestly tell you, maybe I'll share in the next video a bit more, because right now for today I want to see even a bit more of the modern, because yesterday we even strolled around a bit more without filming, explored here this area. I'm going to share with you my thoughts about Guangzhou. Is probably not my favorite city so far in terms of modernity, but the mix is really what makes it so unique. You get to see so much of, let's say, the real China, the old China, and also the real modern one, but a bit different in Shenzhen. In terms of that, I would say Shenzhen so far. Maybe today I'll change my opinion. This is gonna be the last full day in China for now. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. In general, if you're new here by any chance, on the channel I document my life around the idea of building a life of freedom around the world. And what that means for me is, let's say, location independence is a very big part. To see parts of the world that very often people don't know too much about. You might hear a lot, you might think you know a lot, but really the first time I came to China, my expectations were a bit different. Yes, I expected big buildings, yes, I expected a lot of development, but I didn't expect such, let's say, rich life in terms of all the different facets of daily life. Like what I said before, what I love about it is people are truly living their life. The country is made for the people, and even in like, let's say, more local areas, by walking around, even the quote-unquote poor areas are still in some ways doing better than you would think, and then the modern areas are just on a completely different level, globally speaking. Doesn't get much better than especially like Shenzhen, the last couple of videos, but even Guangzhou is, even considering it's such an old city, is in terms of development on a different level. So in terms of, let's say, the number one tier level cities in China, the only one I haven't seen yet is Beijing. Maybe I should check that out. Let me know your thoughts. If you have visited many cities in China, what is the most impressive one? I know there's a city of Chongqing. I'm not sure, like they say it's the largest, but what is nicer, what is more developed? It definitely looks interesting, so I might want to check it out. But for now, I'm going to be checking out. You can join me on Instagram. I'll put it somewhere here if you want to see where I'm right now, because usually the videos come out a little bit later. And so with that, you gotta roll to see.